Hello guys, today we're watching a horror short called Fishing Stories. Alright, let's do this. I'm scared.
There used to be a pond about half a mile away from my old house that I would commonly go fishing in. It was nicknamed Daryl's Pond. I still have no idea who Daryl was or why it was called that. But nobody owned it, so people would once in a blue moon go fishing there as well. It was usually me by myself though. I had dug a pole into the ground where I would tie a noose to and from my small kayak.
I'm not a fan of scary movies, but I do watch lots of scary
out to the
movies.
middle of the pond.
But I'm not a fan though.
Spot for getting a decent catch.
I like monsters though.
There was another person coming out from the trees. I waved at him and gave him a smile.
Why?
He hopped into a small boat floating by the edge of the pond and began to row over to me.
Okay.
As he got close enough where trying to speak to him wouldn't come off as obnoxious, I gave him a friendly, "Perfect day, isn't it?"
Yeah.
"Yes, absolutely," he said. He didn't say anything after that.
That's
kind of
creepy.
Awkward, as if
6
I were
minutes.
obligated to keep some kind of
Okay, this
conversation
video might be
rolling
long,
now.
guys, because I got 3 videos to watch.
"So, you
From
come out here to throw
channel.
some lines?" I asked. "No, I don't actually fish."
What?
"Oh, well, it's never a bad day to relax on the pond," I said. He continued to row closer to me until his boat collided with mine, creating a big
My
thud.
sister told me to do this. I don't know why.
Uncomfortable now.
They already watched all the
I
videos.
didn't feel
I don't.
threatened.
How are they doing this
Just
before me?
weirded
I
out.
gotta learn.
I was
I don't
only
even hear
24
them
years
watching
old.
this.
This guy looked like he
Maybe
was
because they.
late
Maybe
40s
because
or
they.
50s.
I'll find out one day.
There was an awkward silence. I tried to just act like I was focused on trying to make a catch, but by now that wasn't even on my mind. This guy was weird. I
Yeah.
didn't know what he wanted, and I was uncomfortable being so close to him. I felt him looking at me, or at least in my direction, as I faced halfway to the opposite direction of him.
That's scary,
I
dude.
took a quick glance to my
This
right.
made me don't want to fish.
Yeah, he was staring at me. I decided to be ballsy
I
and
said,
lock eye
"What
contact
the-"
with him. After about 4 seconds, he looked away.
Okay. Ma,
"So, where are you from?" I asked him.
why would you ask that?
"Up there." He pointed behind himself in the direction of the woodsy hill leading past the dirt road.
What?
"Oh, you live by Suffolk?" I asked. No, I'm not," he said. "What made you decide to come out here?" I said. "Why not?" I continued to try and uncomfortably fill
okay,
the
you better
awkward
leave now,
silences
bro.
that kept coming up. His responses were dry. He didn't contribute anything to what was barely a conversation.
Y'all,
He just sat there not doing anything with half a smile on his face.
if that was me, I would
looking
like.
either at me or
Bye.
in my general direction throughout. I was creeped out. My heart was racing at this point.
Guys,
I'd go as far as saying that I was nervous for my life. We were surrounded by trees in all directions in the middle of the pond.
wow.
I started to row a bit closer to land, but in a very low-key kind of way, trying to play it off as me just trying to find a better spot to find some fish. I was horrified when I saw he was following me. "What a great day, huh?" I felt a shake in my voice. I got close enough to the edge of the pond.
Yeah, get
where I
out. Get out
finally
the
told
boat.
the man, "I think I'm gonna call it a day."
Yeah, get out.
I turned to see his reaction. He was still staring at me, but his smile was gone now. "I can't let you leave," he said. He lifted his flannel to expose a handgun sticking out of his jeans pocket. As soon as I could process what I was
Here,
looking
turn
at,
away.
I dove out of the boat for land, ran the whole half-mile uphill
If
through
you
the
wanna
woods
look, you
back
can
to
look.
my
If you're
house,
not brave enough,
locked
turn
every
away.
door and
Or
window
get
as
your
soon
mom.
as I made it home.
Or whatever you
I
do.
pulled down the blinds to the dining room window, leaving it open just a crack for peeking outside undetected.
Okay.
It
That's nice.
started to get dark out, and I left
I
every
never
light
leave
in
the
the house
curtains
off,
open. Always
still
shut your
peeking out to
curtains.
the front yard, making sure I wasn't followed. The time came when I finally decided I wasn't followed. I realize now, like you, that not calling the police immediately was a huge mistake.
You're supposed to call
I
the
kept
police,
my
you
bedroom
idiot.
windows open to let the room air
Everyone
out.
knows that.
My bedroom was on the second floor,
Trust
so
me,
I wasn't
I
worried
never called
about
the police
being
before, but
watched
trust me.
through the window. About half an hour after shutting the light and falling under the covers, I heard the sound of leaves crunching from outside.
And this is what happens when you don't
I
call the
sat up
police.
to hear it more clearly. It was definitely something walking around out there. Normally I would assume
My
it was a
face
deer
itches.
or a bear, but after what just
Okay, it's
happened,
gone.
I was still in paranoia mode. I sat up as still as a statue, except for my shaking out of fear.
This video gonna be
waiting
long.
as the
Just
sounds
hope
of
you
the steps
know that.
stopped.
I don't know that because I'm the one
Hey, buddy,
playing the
you up
video
there?
right now, but yeah.
Are you trying to sleep?
I'm
Sorry,
terrified.
I didn't mean to wake you. I felt like 100 pounds just fell directly onto my chest.
Wow.
It was the same voice. I knew it right away. I didn't make
Call
a
him.
sound. I crept out of the room quietly downstairs to the kitchen and grabbed the phone, practically crawling on my way out to avoid being seen through the open blinds.
Call the
I called
police.
911 like I should have
Yes.
earlier in the temporary safety of my bedroom.
Yes.
I made sure to whisper into the phone as I was still hoping that he hadn't yet heard or spotted me. 20 minutes felt like an hour as I sat behind my bed, waiting for the police to arrive in constant fear that I would hear glass breaking from downstairs, or a thud on the back door, or even just a voice again from down below my window outside. The police did a thorough investigation of the property in nearby woods, turning up nothing. They suggested I stay with a friend or a family member for a few
I want
days,
to try to
and
do
so
an
I did.
animation. Should I? No?
I never
Okay.
heard from or
But if
saw
you did
the
want
man
me
again,
to, please
but
call
I
me.
still moved a month
And
later.
if you don't want to call me about
I
that,
couldn't
then
deal
just
with
like
the
the
constant
video. If
fear
you don't,
and
then you don't
paranoia
want me to do
of
it,
being watched
then
through
don't
my
ask.
windows. I
But I
feel
will
much
try
more
if I could.
comfortable fishing out by the
Oh,
bay
new
now.
Sonic picture coming tomorrow. Okay, this is part 2, Hitchhiking Horror Stories. Part 1 was
3 months after
That
I
is
turned 16
terrifying.
in
Y'all see how that-
2005, I got my first car, a
Llama
99 Toyota Camry. On a warm Saturday night, when my friend Alex invited me over to one of his friend's big parties, I knew I wouldn't be in a condition to drive the Camry home afterward. So we carpooled with Alex's girlfriend, Brianna. We lived in the countryside of Virginia, meaning less big parties.
Oh.
Meaning when there was a big
I never
party,
go
it was
to
a
a party.
huge deal and everyone would go. We lived about 5 to 10 minutes away from this kid's house. I knew where he lived as I was acquainted with him, but not exactly friends. The
Oh,
whole ride there, we took the same 2-lane
This is
highway
6
type
minutes,
road
you
through
don't
the
know.
woods, and this kid's house was actually on this road further down. At certain points on this road, there were a few houses on either side, and then it would just go back to being a long, empty highway again. The house was tiny, like a lot of houses around the area, but the party was held outside anyways, since its closest neighbors were relatively far away.
I'm not
and
pausing the
noise
video
wasn't
because I
an
did that a
issue.
lot with Sonic, and that made my video super long.
I'll skip
So I
most
will
of the
not
party up until the
it
point
ends.
that Brianna, who was supposed to be our designated driver, had to suddenly leave for a small family emergency.
Okay.
Alex said it was fine and that we'd find a ride home.
Oh, poor
Well,
dude.
fast forward another few hours and another few drinks, and I could barely even walk straight. I checked my watch,
Never
and
drink,
it was
kids.
like 2 in the
Even when
morning.
you're older. Never
I
smoke,
figured it
never
was
do
time
any
to
of
go.
that. Be a good kid.
I started looking for Alex, but I couldn't find him anywhere. In fact, it seemed like everybody I knew had already left.
Wow.
I could barely even think straight, but I was still furious at the fact that Alex could have actually left without me. I asked to use the party host's phone and dialed Alex's home number.
Okay.
After 2 tries, I gave up and then realized I shouldn't wake his family up. So, literally
what?
not knowing what else to do, I dizzily stepped out onto the
Stupid,
road
man.
and began
What
walking
the
back
Muppet
home.
on?
I
You
knew
know,
this
just-
walk would take anywhere from half an hour
I
to
got
an hour
nothing
in my
for this.
condition. Maybe after 15 minutes of walking down the road, the slight shine of car headlights on the road was fading in from behind me. Jumping for joy inside, I lifted up my arm and stuck out my thumb. As the car neared, it slowed down and came to a stop right next to me.
Okay. That's
The man
creepy.
driving the 98 Ford Explorer
Oh, guys,
rolled
never
down the
do this in your
window
life.
and asked where you headed. I told him my house was just down the road and beyond a right turn,
Alright.
probably slurring my words beyond comprehension. He chuckled and told me to hop in. I thanked him and joyously hopped into the truck. I was exhausted, and I remember completely disregarding
Yeah, they
things
come
the guy
in
was
here
asking me
sometimes
because I was
asking
so close
for
to
something,
just
or they
passing
looking for
out.
something, or they just want
And
to
that's
talk to
what
me.
happened.
Or call my name.
The memories of being in that truck turned to a fog, as I'm sure I passed out.
Okay, it doesn't matter. I go sleep in the car all the time. No biggie. We pass
The
out.
next thing I remember, I woke up still in the moving truck.
Okay.
The guy looked at me and laughed, but didn't say anything. I looked around and
out of
realized
the car.
the road we were on wasn't familiar. I nervously asked, where are we going? He then said, So what were you doing out this late anyway?
Answer his question.
As the man answered my very straightforward question with another irrelevant question, the sobering
You don't
reality
need
of
to
the
know
situation
my
hit me.
life, not, well, his life.
You can let me out anywhere, I told the man.
Okay, yeah,
The man responded with a firm no. I felt like throwing up as
No.
he said that. No, I really actually felt like I was going to throw up. I started to gag as I felt more and more nauseous by the second. The man took his eyes off the road to look at me, and that's when I thought of the perfect distraction. I turned in his direction as I continued to gag, and he started to kind of lean away and slow down the car. Thankfully, I drank as much as I did, because I finally threw up and made a point of doing it all over the man's lap.
Yeah.
The man yelled in
that's good,
frustration and stopped the car, and that's when I took it upon myself to run for my life into the woods and duck behind a few bushes.
This animation is neat, bro.
The man came following into the woods with a flashlight, and on 2 separate occasions, he shined the light straight over me without noticing. Eventually, I heard his footsteps walk even further into the woods past me.
Okay, good.
That was
Get
when
out,
I
get
ran
out
back
there.
to his
Y'all,
truck,
I love
but
this.
unfortunately, he was smart enough to lock it.
Danger.
By some miracle, I saw another car approaching in the distance, and I ran
do you
out
mean
into
a
the middle of
miracle?
the street, waving my arms like a lunatic.
Yeah.
The car tried to avoid me,
Y'all know
but
what
I
that
wouldn't
is.
let it.
Comment below.
They were forced to
You
stop,
know,
and I
then,
yelled at them to help
ask
me
your mother,
before
she'll
they
tell you.
came back.
She doesn't.
Once I told them that I was
Just pick
kidnapped
up
by the
that
man who was
thing.
driving that Ford Explorer, the driver agreed to give me a lift. Not to the police station or anything, but to my house.
Wow.
I made it back safely, where I couldn't thank the driver enough. I immediately woke up my parents and told them. My dad wanted to know if I got his tag number, and then I felt like punching myself in the face. I failed to get the simplest information from the guy that would have allowed me to actually properly report him. All I knew was that he drove a faded blue '99 Ford Explorer. I made sure to give Alex a piece of my mind, and part of me always held a grudge against him ever since, just for abandoning me at a party without telling me.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him in 4 years now, however, and this was actually the first time I even thought about this incident for almost a year now. As time goes on, even the worst of memories may start to fade. But after writing this to share with the internet, it's once again fresh in my mind.
Wow. Okay, guys, this is the last animation called Babysitting.
It was during a blizzard in Valley Stream.
Babysitting stories.
I was getting paid $250 to watch some couple's kid while they went away for the weekend. His name was Matthew. This took place on the first night, which was a Friday night. Matthew was already supposedly asleep, while I was in the living room watching a movie. I got a knock at the door and looked at the clock.
This is only 2 minutes. I can't believe it.
There was no way I was opening it.
Yeah, don't open it, bro.
Not even 10 seconds later, I heard the sound of two men angrily banging on the door.
Oh my goodness!
I felt like my heart was about to stop.
Who the world is at the door?
I took a peek through the blinds, and there was somebody standing right on the other side of the window.
What?
I fell back in fear, and after managing to get back on my feet, I ran to the kitchen phone first thing to call the police.
Yeah, call the
They
police.
said because of the weather, it could take a while for an officer to get here. I was told to take the child and hide somewhere until an officer arrived. They wanted to keep me on the line, but I wasn't thinking clearly in the heat of the moment and hung up. However, it wasn't until I ran through the living room that I
And this
realized
is
the
why
banging had stopped.
the police are useless.
I took a second peek through the living room window. Nobody was there now.
Alright, cool. They must be up.
I heard the sound of glass shattering from a few rooms over.
Anger that.
My knees started to feel weak as I realized they had just broken the window and were about to climb into the house. I had to run and get Matthew. I couldn't just leave without him. Of course, when I got upstairs, there was no time left to run back downstairs, as I already heard footsteps and laughter coming from downstairs. I covered Matthew's mouth with my hands as I ran with him into his toy closet. A few minutes dragged on to what felt like half an hour as we sat there in the dark closet.
Wow, man.
Matthew began to squeal as footsteps on the carpet reached the outside of his bedroom door.
Yeah, I
There was more than one person.
Yeah, you get scared when you're a little
He
kid.
came inside. There weren't many places to hide in this room. I was actually reflecting on my whole life.
What the?
So sure I was gonna die. We heard the sound of a police siren outside, even from in the closet. And then I heard one of the men in the room mutter, "Aw, shit." I opened the door back up as I heard at least 3 pairs of footsteps hurriedly rushing down the stairs. They didn't get far, as the police later found their footprints in the backyard, leading to our shed.
Okay.
There were 5 men in total, and they were all arrested.
Oh, that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed Ink About.